Hi, my name is Matt Inghram, and I'm doing my persuasive presentation on why it should be mandatory to recycle. This is my audience. During my presentation, I will be talking about the following topics and their involvement with recycling. The 3 R's of recycling: what we can recycle, contaminated drinking water, landfill space, how recycling affects the wildlife, technology in recycling, positives of recycling, and of course the negatives. The 3 R's of recycling. The first of the 3 R's is reduce. To reduce is using fewer resources than you need. An example is to use an old cell phone to the bitter end, and when you get a new one, it takes precious resources from the metal, which isn't good. The second of the 3 R's is to reuse. To reuse is considering whether the object you want to throw away has another use for it. For example, is food scraps can be used as a compost pile. Another example is a glass jar can be used to hold all sorts of things, such as like pens and pencils. The last of the 3 R's is recycle. Recycling is probably the easiest and is caught on the best because there are so many curbside recycling bins to recycle your recyclables. The cool thing about recycling is that you can also make new products from the old ones, and that's known as green products. What is recyclable? In this slide, I will tell you what is recyclable and why. First off, cans. It takes about 90 days to recycle a can, while on the counterpart, it takes over 500 years to decompose. Steel. Just 1 pound of steel has enough energy to produce a ball worth of energy. Paper. Paper makes up 50% of landfills. It also takes 70 to 90% less energy to recycle paper. Glass. Recycling 1 glass jar provides enough energy for 4 hours of light. Recycling glass also will decrease air pollution by 20% and water by 50%. Lastly, plastic. Plastic can take over 500 years to decompose. And every hour in the U.S., 2.5 million plastic bottles will be thrown away. So if we could at least get half of those numbers into recycling bins, it would make a huge impact. Contaminated water. There are places that have recycling for paints, batteries, oil, and other chemicals because when you use these and don't dispose them in the right place, they will make their way into the waterways, which creates havoc for the fish and other water animals. Wildlife. The more waste that is being thrown away instead of recycled steals living areas from wildlife. It causes us to make bigger landfills, which takes away the homes from the animals. Also, animals also eat our waste products, which animals tend to like the taste of antifreeze, which leads to their certain death. If we don't dispose of antifreeze in the right way, animals will get a hold of it. Lastly, items that could have been recycled also hurt wildlife. For example, plastic pop rings can get caught around the neck of animals, and this could be avoided as long as we just recycled. Landfill space. The amount of space a single landfill requires is massive. The Earth is only so big, and at the rate we throw things away, it seems the Earth will one day just be a big dump. According to the EPA, landfills are 75% recyclable items. That's a massive percentage of items that really don't belong there. Technology and recycling. What 1 million cell phones actually equals is 3,500 pounds of copper, 772 pounds of silver, 750 pounds of gold, and 330 pounds of palladium. Cell phones have rare earth metals in them, which are elements that are extremely valuable and have a better purpose than going into a trash can, so you can get them into recycling places. What you can do to take them to recycling places can do to recycle them is you can take them to Best Buy, because every Best Buy in the country has areas you can recycle them, which is cool. With recycling, it brings many positives to the earth, such as cleaner air. Creating virgin products helps eliminate emissions into the air. It also lowers fuel costs. Creating new materials from scratch requires fuel and more energy use. The more energy being used means less fuel available, making the price go up. It creates jobs. Recycling creates far more employment than landfills and incinerators. And of course, recycling also has its negatives. It makes people think resources are unlimited because they can just recycle it, which isn't the case, because not all of the recycled item is going to be used. Also, recycling doesn't include all items. An example is just styrofoam. In the recap, I would just like to remind you guys what I talked about. I talked about the 3 R's of recycling. What is recyclable? Contamination of water, landfill space, how wildlife is affected, technology and recycling, the positives of recycling. These are the resources I used, and I would just like to thank my audience for listening.